10-4.
Hola, hola, kiddos. This is Tico Trend. Um, this is Tico Trend. How y'all doing? I'm here with Baron Yam and MIGTOW in the Wind. This is Wendy Sadist, Wendy Baron and Sadist, basically. Today's topics are going to be domestic violence. Um, domestic violence. Um, I need to read it. Domestic violence, gaslighting, choosy
Gaslighting.
signals, desperate signals, and interested signals.
Take it away. Yeah. So yeah, that uh, I think that with the holiday seasons approaching, and it being our first COVID holidays, that it would be a good thing to bring up gaslighting because if families getting together, if they're not afraid of catching that COVID, they're obviously going to be talking about politics, and a lot of people, myself included, have witnessed what it's like to talk about this political situation with other people. And there's a lot of gaslighting that goes on. There's a lot of people that need to get their point across and get up in their feelings and get hostile when when they're trying to get their point across. And I think it's going to lead to a lot of domestic violence because when we look at all the people that are blue pilled, what do most of them have? The guys that are blue pilled, what do most of them have in common when it comes to women? They love to
uh,
argue. They
yeah,
love to argue.
it's a constant pissing contest. You
Yeah,
know,
and
it's
it's
like
like the girl's trying to prove that she's more manly, or and then the guy's trying to prove that he's smarter than the woman. It's like neither of them
like
are competing at the same thing, so they don't actually get the context
basically
of
what
what
it is
each
is
other's
it's
saying.
basically the holidays drop the IQ of the family. You could have a little nuclear physicist family, and as soon as the holiday and heated politics come up, guess what? Their IQ is now lower than smaller than the rims on my car. No, it's not even the rims, the donut, the spare tire.
Yeah, yeah, and then not to mention, yeah, people blow a gasket and then they ruins their whole day or ruins their whole week, or now you're to blame for something that they've been feeling that whole entire time. You just provoked it out of them. And so you kind of like it, when it comes to political talks, I realize a lot of people have plausible deniability when a person who has more stronger emotions. And that's the thing, guys will have more emotions than women. We just can control them better. But it's just like whenever we express emotions, it makes robotic people feel triggered because they're like, oh, somebody actually expressed emotions around me.
No, it's
Right?
not
And
the fact. No, it's not the fact that we control them better. It's the fact that we handle them. We don't handle them better. We basically are able to suppress them better than women.
Now,
especially if we have something like a medium to express it with.
Hmm.
and
I've noticed. I've noticed.
and one
Yeah.
thing is like they don't. They all have. We know what else they have in common? They don't come up with a rule of on the holidays, whatever the fuck happened before the holiday. Once you enter this threshold, it is strictly holidays. It is strictly fucking no politics, no heated conflicts. They don't have.
Wait a
They
minute.
don't
How the
have.
hell we get on holidays? First off,
Well, I'm
this has
saying
nothing
like
to do with holidays.
well, it's like the gaslighting. It
Oh
basically they don't have
no!
baffles
It
in
was just
place. No,
yeah.
they don't have.
It was just like a socially relevant thing because it was
Right, but
because
what I'm saying is they
yeah.
don't have baffles in place to minimize the gaslighting.
Yeah,
Which
Thanksgiving's this week. I don't know if you knew Tico, but Thanksgiving's
Yeah, I
this
know
week.
it's this week, but the sad
Oh,
part
okay.
about
yeah,
that has
yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
do with
but right,
gaslighting.
but
Gaslighting happens 376.
right,
Excuse me,
376.
356. 356.
But the thing is,
Three
I
sixty
mean, they
five
don't have some sort
might
of
happen three seventy
baffle
six though.
in place to discourage it. To discourage it, you know,
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And
they don't have like
because
say
there's a lot of open space because the dialogue shifted so much. There's a lot of things that I guess people don't necessarily deem important to want to talk about, but are like very important. and then like meanwhile there's a bunch of like arbitrary stuff, like even I don't discount my MGTOW brothers at all, but even this Title 4D stuff, it's like a lot of the stuff is just hitting the ears for the first time, but a lot of it's stuff people have known for a while, and then you hear like this same exact like stay on your square, maintain frame kind of rhetoric that we hear a lot in the manosphere when it comes to that stuff. And it's like people actually think that if they say stuff a certain way, they can get out of paying it when they're not like a smooth talker type person to begin with. So it's just weird how it all works out. And like I said, that it's people who are never really built for that kind of relationship or dynamic in the first place. Now they think that they're gifted with some sort of like special powers or something to be able to go back in and fight, when that's where they got humiliated, that's where they got destroyed, and they're going back to fight again.
True.
And I was never, even though I sympathize with them, I don't like, I wouldn't be able to agree that that's a good thing if I haven't actually been on that other side. So that's something I'll leave alone. I'll talk about politics and stuff because it does affect me, but the child support thing, I just said it's not. I lose the thread of the conversation, especially when it gets into like, well, you weren't man enough, that's why you still paying child support and stuff like that. It's just, I hate that. I hate that.
Wait a minute, what?
No, that's kind of like how men get shamed a lot. It's like if you're paying child support, it's a bad thing, when that's like the best thing you could do in that situation, other than like try to get out of it. Which,
Oh yeah, you talk about the idiots on the opposite side always trying to shame people. Talk about if you got a divorce, you weren't man enough. Obviously, no. The sad part about that is divorce happens to everybody. But like divorce happens to even these motherfuckers that always talk about how masculine they are and how much frame they would maintain. They would always end up being the most divorced person out of the whole entire group. And the sad part about that, the people who throw the most shade are the people who end up the most divorced. Sadly.
yeah.
And that's the type of shit that pisses me off, because they try to act like they're mightier than now, and they can't even spell a relationship, haven't even had a successful relationship, don't even know the first letter of a relationship, and don't even know how to get into one. But they want to act like they're holier than thou in the process of doing so, which makes no fucking sense to me. None.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be like, I don't do relationships, but then if you're just saying like, oh no, I know how to do it relationships, it's like, well, obviously you don't.
Obviously not. But they'll use the bogus ass excuse. Well, I just don't want to be in one right now. No, nigga, you can't be in one right now. Talk about you just don't want to be in one right now. Like you're really making these decisions right now. No, you ain't making no decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They've already made the decisions for you. That's why you're talking all this shit.
Exactly.
Because you don't got to worry about being rejected and shit.
It's the butthurt. Yeah, it's the butthurt. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I realized that too. And that's why I was like, I'm trying to tell people, because that's whenever you feel like you could get butthurt, the best thing to do is just walk away. And you know, I think a lot of people just still have attachment to what they have to leave behind, and they can't leave it behind because of how they were raised. They were raised to have attachment to them.
A lot of people are also attached to a dream, a hope, something that is not only hardwired but is programmed from not parenthood, but childhood, from their parents, and they can't let it go. They can't.
Well, no, the sad part about that is it's not programmed by parents. It's actually programmed by society. And this is where a lot of people fuck up at.
You're right, Chico, because your parents will tell you not to just leave everything and just focus on yourself, and you'll ignore your parents' wishes.
Yeah,
it's what I've noticed.
Meanwhile, they're trying to get you to enjoy your life forever and shit like that. And meanwhile, you're trying to grow up fast as hell and be fast as hell, basically. Your parents are trying to get you to enjoy your life while you still can. So your parents don't teach you these attachments at all. It's society that teaches you these attachments.
Right. Basically, mistake. I want
You're
to start
fine.
over again.
No, yeah,
I,
well,
I,
and that's the thing. It's like that's not what Tico did. He's like he just brought you like rough into the to his
right.
perspective, but that's
He
not
like this,
gaslighting. You know,
but it's like
gaslighting would be
I basically what I see is like I know well, shit, yeah, I made a mistake, and as a MGTOW, I should know better. You know, I should
yeah.
freaking know
But
better.
then as a if you're in a situation where you're being gaslit, like if you admit fault, that's the worst thing you could do. That's one of the worst things you could
There's
do.
things you can do.
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
there's a
because
difference between but
you
there's
either
a difference
admit fault
between
or you protest, and both of those reactions
but
are
there's a
bad
difference
because.
between gaslighting and correction.
Yeah, true.
Mhm, mhm.
The difference between gaslighting and correction, gaslighting is usually trying to is you trying is some is like okay, person A, person B. Person A is on his little spiel. Person B interrupts and injects his truth
Mhm.
and not the truth of the reality. And then person A then gets mad, and person B just sits there and enjoying the popcorn. Now, correction: person A is saying his spiel, and it literally has a mental lapse because he knows better. Person B stops him mid sentence, corrects him, and then person A realizes his mistake is, oh crap, thank you.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Whereas with gaslighting, I think you complete like one person, especially the person who's being manipulated, completely ignores that they're like the mistake that they're making, which is engaging with the troll to begin with, or engaging with the person to begin with. And
and
so
that's
Yeah,
why
they think that the
typically the person that's going to gaslight you is basically going to try to roadblock you in various different things and tell you that something isn't really right, even if it really is right.
right.
They'll basically like, well, you'll basically tell the story, then you'll remember it how you remember it, and then they'll go and tell you, well, that's not how it happened. I actually won the
Mm.
game, and this, that, and the other, and you actually lost, and this, that, and the other. And you're sitting there thinking to yourself, wait a minute, so how do I get the
Henceforth,
trophy?
yeah. Henceforth, this why Tico and a few other Red Pill and MGTOW channels and a few other channels say, as well as the military, do not engage the wildlife.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think like a lot of people see the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to a conversation or the argument, and they say like, if I can just get this person to go down with this tunnel with me, we'll get to the light at the end. And that if you give that person enough power, they'll just keep dragging that light further and further away, or like
Right?
Keep
you'll
dragging it down the tunnel towards you.
It's
Me,
like
come to find out, it's a
they'll
fucking
keep
freight train.
building. Yeah, they'll keep building onto the tunnel, which will be the thing.
Mhm.
Like they'll keep building extensions on. They'll keep dropping extensions onto the tunnel.
See? Yeah, exactly. And I think you like there's like the beauty of the internet is you can actually like handle something, and then it's a good it's an example for everyone else. But the
Right.
bad thing about it is whenever you handle it poorly, it's basically permanent. It gets
It's
to what's his name was Tico was saying. It's like everybody's gonna have fall on these times if they're gonna get married. There's a potential that there's gonna be some hard times, and the fact that it's all out there. A few people in MGTOW are trying to are a few people in MGTOW are trying to spread the message, while it's like everybody
I
else sees it and they see that they can capitalize on it, and
Mhm.
it's
I
just
made
upsetting.
yeah. I put up a video on this whole thing about MGTOW. This is from my eyes, from my understanding. I mean, this is some things that a lot of people will not admit about MGTOW. I'm not afraid to admit this thing because it's what it is. Their men have been hurt and are still hurting. Their men have been hurt and have put themselves back together. And then there is men who have seen the other men that have been hurt and decided not to go through it and have not been hurt.
Mhm.
And again, I reinforce the fact that if you're still a virgin, stay a virgin. It's not worth it. And a lot of that will, I mean, I mean, I could be. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm also not afraid to admit that once you, like I said, a lot of MIGTOWs were once red pillars.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say towards that is just like any experience, it has to, well, any pursuit has to be unlearned because
Right.
those pursuits are, like you said, trained.
Let me
Just
break this to you.
but experience itself is
Hmm.
valuable to gain for anybody. Like it
But
just can't
what?
be the, yeah, it just you just can't get yourself into falling into any traps, and
Right.
that's what the MGTOW stuff is for. It's not like how people paint it out, like we're warning men to avoid experiencing things. It's like, no, we're just sharing what we're saying, and that's gaslighting. The whole philosophy is to say that this is how we're living our life, when really we're not. We're trying to live life like in in like like not reminiscent, but like reflecting on everything after everything that's happened. And it's
Right.
not to like make ourselves be a victim. It's just saying
The
everybody
thing
goes through this stuff, and then you can get through it.
now,
That's how I see it.
there's a reason, like gaslighting, right? Like I said, there's a reason that during a charge, during a push, a push maneuver, we are spread out so that an artillery shell or a mortar shell doesn't take out the whole squad. Gaslight. This is this. There's a reason I said that. You ever heard? I don't know. There's group gaslighting where they go at where somebody where to go into a group of men and get and literally insert themselves and their input to catch one of the men off guard in order for him to get to react. And then when he reacts, he's now arguing back and forth, and then people have to pick sides.
Yeah, it's basically when in an online setting, and we could talk about what it's like to actually be in a domestic dispute, but having a bunch of white knights there is effectively her calling the cops and having them assess the situation, like, all right, who's in danger? It seems like the woman's in danger, and depending on what the woman says, they could be swayed. Like if she says, I don't know him, he just broke in here and started to assault me, they're not asked peek or to investigate any further into that. They're just supposed to
Right,
treat it as that's the situation because she said it. And
Hmm.
they could know each other for months or years. It still wouldn't matter.
right.
And that's like why I think. And then if you listen to a lot of red pill content creators when they talk about how they were like beta blue pilled or stuff, they always talk about all these arguments they would have. Or like me, I used to have like debates
That's
because
tough.
I used to date a leftist, so I used to be like always, well, like none of that makes any sense. Well, you're standing up for white people. I'm like, well, like I'm standing up if the people who are doing good happen to be white, then there's no problem with that. And it's like then they tell you like people who like those aren't the people who are doing good. And then like that's they just started. It's just designed to make you so upset that you're willing to l- be aggressive or be violent,
Combative. You're
and
willing to be
then
as
and then they get
combative
to
as
play a victim,
possible.
play the
Right.
victim again. So
They
it's just,
basically
yeah,
it's
it's terrible.
gaslighting,
Hmm.
and it's like, as I said, they can. Like I said, like I said, but you understand. I understand where you're coming from. I don't know why you would date a leftist, but Ugh.
It was just an example. But
Yeah.
to answer Corey Steele's thing is basically like rewriting history on what
Oh,
actually happened, basically.
I haven't been looking at the chat, but what
It's
up? Yeah, it
it's
involves.
basically
Well,
trying
it
to.
involves. It's like double speak. So like in the Dahlia Dipolito case, there's she pays to have her husband, or she pays a cop to have her husband killed, not knowing it's a cop, and then when they catch her in the act, she calls the person that she tried to kill to get him to bail her out of jail. And so the husband's like on the phone, like, I'm yeah, you tried to kill me, and she's like, and he's like, you know, then if you go to certain channels, they have all the footage, like the undercover footage of her talking to the guy. It's a big black guy.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously she feels safe, she feels secure, she feels like he's gonna do it because he's the big dangerous black guy. It goes again towards people's perceptions, but like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
then she's like, I heard what you heard, and I saw what you saw, and it's not true.
And you're the
That's
one.
gaslight.
And
That's
you're the
straight up
one. And
gaslight,
you're the one behind bars, and I'm not.
and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to, but and then the thing, carry that same thing over. It's like if you're to tell somebody that they are enslaved or something, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. They're gonna gaslight you because that's how things work. It's like you can't point.
They're gonna try to manipulate you into making you believe that you're a slave, that you're this, that you're that this is correct, and up is down and down is up. The
Mm,
sky is orange or red, or the sky is orange or red or green. In the after at 12:61 in the afternoon.
mm. By the way, guys, don't. I would advise against getting Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm just looking at the gameplay. It doesn't. It looks really boring. It just looks so boring. The graphics look amazing. It just looks really boring. But that's just me though. Well, like
But
with the whole the next gen, or would this be next gen? There's been a lot of gaslighting too because it's like a lot of people are like PS5 over
yeah,
Xbox because PS5 has
and it's like
exclusives.
there's gas right there's gas there's always, as long as there's a rival console,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be gaslighting. It's the same things. As long as there's men and women, there's going to be gaslighting. As long as there's left and right,
Yeah,
Democrat, Republican.
and the gas. If you think about oil, it is like crude. It is literally like dead, like plants and organisms and stuff that's been condensed has been around far longer than the people who actually need the fuel.
Right.
And if you think about it, that's what gaslighting is. It's like a person who's been gaming ever since they were, 4 or 5 years old, having some like purple-haired person come over and tell you that that's sexist because it's a male
I
character,
am
or
like the
it's
I
racist
like
because
the
it's a white character. It's like, give me a break. It's like something I've been doing for longer than you could, like, since before
What's up,
you knew what you could
MIGTOW?
molest you. Lucy Dream, MIGTOW, Lucy Dream.
I don't know. Something like that, basically. I can't wait for Cyberpunk 77 to come out myself.
You're like, oh, yeah. I will watch Laszlo play that on Twitch. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Lazarus going to play it on Twitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna cope by buying a better microphone for this.
I'm going to cope by buying a better microphone. Did you get your Xbox, your PlayStation 5 yet?
No, still haven't got one.
They were on sale, dude, like not too long ago. Are you serious? You missed that again?
Where? Where was
I
it on
ain't get
sale?
one.
Everybody's
I
been buying one. What you think, Mr.
I
Lucas?
ain't bought one yet.
Amazing Lucas
I don't
bought
feel
one.
like
You're
Amazing Lucas bought one.
gaslight, straight up
look here.
gaslight.
I ain't bought
No,
one.
literally, the Amazing Lucas bought one the other day. What's his name bought one too. Um, what's his name?
Hey,
Tyro
look.
Magnus bought one recently too.
Hey, I didn't
You're,
buy
you're
one.
cutting up there, Yam. You're cutting up.
Hey, look. I didn't buy
I
one.
told you that they were coming out with another. I told you. As a matter of fact, we talked on the phone about that. It's like they should be coming out with another batch very soon
Hey,
here,
look.
sometime this week or
Look.
next week.
I haven't bought one yet. I don't plan on buying one.
Well,
That's because you're
already Valhalla is just. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, what? Like, why would I buy that? But Cyberpunk's gonna be great. I'm almost positive. Cyberpunk. And then all these games that just came out, they got PS4 versions of it where you buy it and then you get the PS5 version too.
yeah. There's some of
And
them you
I
actually,
know
some of them you actually got to pay extra for the PS5 version.
pay extra
Like
for it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
the NBA one,
Why the hell would you do that?
they
Oh
make
my
you.
goodness. Oh my God.
Well
Don't
The
then,
Black
give
Mamba
me a
edition
break with
one.
it. Give
well
me a
then
break
get
with this
fucked.
freaking in the Black Lives Matter and all the EA games and stuff. I mean, if you talk about gaslighting, I mean, give me like
It's some
honestly,
woke. It is some woke
he,
narrative. It is a woke
hearing people
narrative.
talk about sports nowadays is so crazy. Like they'll be like, well, what about LA? Yeah, they got some good stuff, and then they move on to like the next team after like talking for a second about it, and it's like, dude, I mean, people are living in. They're just when it comes to sports, they're just living in straight up just fantasy,
Hmm.
and it's crazy. And then the gaming, I never realized how much gaming because I tend to make my picks based on like what I'm interested in, not based on like following the trend or anything. So uh, I don't even play Call of Duty, but I heard Call of Duty has some Black Lives Matter stuff in it too, or something like that.
I didn't see any yet, but
Oh, okay. But then, yeah, I mean, I actually got Wolfenstein the bundle, and I saw that they have like Young Blood, which is replaced by you're replacing it with two women, like the the BJ Blazkowicz guys replaced by
hmm
women, and that's crazy because it's like you got to let them into your home for them to invade it and then like kick you out and take over. That's kind of how the whole gaslighting works. It's like it doesn't work if you're cut off the fuel source, the fuel supply. If
hmm
you cut off the fuel supply and you're kind of like more in the MIGTOW or red pill sector, then that person's just flailing about or
See,
reacting, and you're the
that
one
that
that's eating
per,
the
yeah,
popcorn. Like yeah,
that person is flapping their gums down south for the winter.
hmm
Uh,
yeah, and it's like they don't really have a choice. They act based on what you're gonna do at the end of the day. So if you don't show up, then then they then they then they get to say whatever they want about you. That's one thing. But
hmm
if you show up and then you ask them a question, then they react heavily, and you just keep on asking them that question, and you don't back down from your question at all. I mean, now you're getting somewhere with that, with like, and now they can keep calling you aggressive, but if you don't attack them and you just keep asking that same question, now people are going to actually have to make a decision
yeah,
on
there's a difference between aggressive and assertive.
assertive, right? Exactly, because being assertive is like you try something, then you try it again in a different way, more, but still try to maintain the same thing, and then if that doesn't work, then you give ultimatum, then you're out.
Hmm. Basically.
But yeah, and not the kind of ultimatum where it's like you actually put the ball in her court. It's just like ultimatum and then walk away.
Hmm.
You know, that's what I mean. Hopefully, people who aren't in a relationship remember that in case they do want are going to get in a relationship. But
Yeah, true.
it's one of those things where, like, as a person who's not in a relationship, I just try to think about that.
like so, you just
Yeah, was you
it's
done or did your sound cut out?
yeah,
Hello,
I
hello.
was about
yeah,
to say.
okay,
There you go.
Oh, I just and it doesn't have to do with just relationships as well. It just has to
Oh,
do with just anything, any social interaction. If you get too
true.
emotional and you're not assertive enough, then no one's going to get your main point that you're trying to talk
Hmm.
about. And then, so then if you enter a conversation without a main point, then somebody can just slap a meaning onto why you're there, and then you have no choice at that point. What value people ascribe to that meaning is their own experience. So you can't take a person's view of what they believe you are away from them, because that would be I would literally be aggressive, like you trying to wrench away how people think. All you can do is really say your piece, and then keep it moving.
True.
But it's I feel like that showed. I don't know. For me, I want to say it's easier said than done, but it kind of shows a lot about what people need deep down. Like maybe they don't actually need self-validation. Maybe they need validation from other people. That's why they get gaslit.
Yeah. Well, no, because the problem with being validated from other people is they can actually gaslight you. Instead of actually getting validation, you'll end up being gaslit, basically. And then they'll make you feel like how you remember things was incorrect, basically, which is a problem. Because if you actually remember it, you probably
Hey,
remember it correctly. But the sad part about that is people don't
Mm.
want to admit to it, which is actually the overall
all
problem with
right.
that. And
There's a saying called in a MIGTOW called self-validation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is self-validation is you don't need validation from women nor men. You just need validation from yourself. Am I correct?
yeah, but the
Well,
sad part about that,
I
though,
think
see,
the reason why, yeah.
the problem with that whole entire thing is like a lot of the men actually still need validation, external validation. So you
Mhm.
can't really even use that, and people still need external validation at the end of the day. That's the cold hard truth, because at the end of the day, everybody still needs external validation. This is
No,
why you got the
that's
people that'll walk around with several thousand subs and think they're better than everybody else, or walk around and, well, I got this many subs and this, that, and the other. Like, I'm gonna need you to chill the fuck out and get off your power trip your power trip over there with all your subs. So it's one of those
right.
things where it's like, yeah, no, because
Those are
the
the people
validation thing is
that need a pet.
And even if they don't have a partner, they probably have something invested in this system that brings out that inner plantation member in them, even though they might preach the philosophy. And it's sad that you say it like that too, because even though you're right, it's like society's never cared about what men need, even though men may outrightly say they strive to only need self validation, or they don't need female validation.
the sad part about
People
that
aren't
is
going to care
a lot of
about
them.
what you need.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sad part about this, a lot of men were actually were indoctrinated into needing validation of other people or women so much so that there's men in the manosphere that's still trying to break out of that or break free of that validation, even though they're in the manosphere till today. The sad part about that is that quote is nice and all, but not all men are created equal. Not all men are going to actually get to that point. Not all men are actually going to have the resolve to actually make it to that point. There's some men right now that they pretty much trick themselves into believing that they're of a certain thing, but like they participate in validation on a regular basis from women. I'm not going to say how and where and how and why, but they participate on a regular basis and they get validation on a regular basis. So they're not even working towards that goal of self validation or self preservation. Basically, they just
Mhm.
still need the validation of a woman, and they get it in any way, shape, or form they can. Let it be sex, let it be any of this other shit. They basically get the validation. Now, it's one thing if you're doing it for money. You're doing it for money, and you're basically, using somebody for money, like sex and stuff like that. But it's another thing if you're just, you're just banging it out on a regular basis.
Or just hanging
And it's like,
around.
yeah, like you're basically needing validation to some extent at some point. And it's like if you can't accept that, then there's like you have a problem that you have to overcome yourself. Because at that point,
Right.
you're really not, self validating yourself. You're getting external validation from the very people who got us in this mess in the first damn place.
And that's true. And
Right.
that's like, what's the alternative, right? I mean, you look at someone who might disagree with that. They say, well, that person might be validating everyone else around them, well, at that point, how much are you really willing to spend? How much of your time and how much of your energy are you really willing to spend validating other people around you, lifting them up, even
Mhm.
no, regardless of what they've been through? Because at some point, you got to think self-preservation. You got to think about
Because
what's going to
here's
be
the
good for
problem.
you.
Here's the problem with that argument. Because I don't validate no damn. I don't even validate my own damn children. So I definitely ain't validating no fucking female. Let's
Right.
just keep it 100. So this is where the problem actually is. Like my children know they got to validate their fucking self. Daddy's not validating shit. Like if you can't make it, you can't make it. You're gonna have to work on it yourself. And it's one of those things where it's like I'm not raising my children to need validation from other people. I'm raising my children to be self starting, and if they need help, get help every now and again. But basically to be independent for all intents and purposes. So I'm not fin to actually stick my children in that overall trap that they call the social construct or the social hierarchy. Because now I got to worry about my son, being gaslit by some goofy ass bitch, or my daughter's acting like they ain't got no fucking sense now.
Hmm.
Not with that.
And
I'm not
that's where
with no.
well, people who gaslight a lot, the men community, they're like, you're basically talking about women who try hard to be a part of this, or men who are trying hard to support their kids, and they basically take what you're saying that's a little harsh, and they try to make it sound like it's hateful
Well, the
when
sad part about it, it's not
it's like
hateful.
it's
What, what,
it's
it- what's, what's,
yeah,
what's hateful is to be with somebody and claim you're going to be with somebody forever and divorce them and take most of their damn shit. What's
Right.
hateful is you claiming you love somebody till death do you part, and all of a sudden you want to break up because I just feel the need to break up. And the sad part about that is here's how you know somebody's being hateful. When a woman gets a divorce from you, exactly what a day or a week from the day y'all were married, you know she's been looking at that day. She's been eyeing that day on the calendar for forever. So you can't sit up here and tell me that they're being hateful when in fact they lived a blissfully
yeah,
free life
true.
and then got shit sprung on them out of no fucking where.
True, and I mean, like, if you look at some of these criminal stories that happen where involving domestic, it's like when the man does something, it's always premeditated. It's always viewed as premeditated, even
Even
if
if it's a
like
crime of passion, it's
yeah, even if
premeditated.
the behavior or if it's motivated by sex, which is not in a man's control. So how can a man premeditate that I'm going to have sex at this time, and this time, and then I'm going to perform this act of violence on somebody? Which to me it seems more like that's something that women premeditate, is this sort of like this roller coaster of emotions that they set men on when they use manipulative tactics,
Yeah.
and like that's what I see is like, and then when women do something, it's always seen as, oh, it slipped her mind, oh, it was just a joke, or oh, and then like with Amanda Knox, like somebody died. There's not really evidence to support that she did it, and she's in the courtroom just laughing. Like she's in the courtroom acting like she's completely innocent, like it's just a joke, all
Mm-hmm.
cracking jokes and stuff. And if a guy were to do that, even if he was innocent, like they would pretty much like try to throw the
They
book
pretty
at
much,
him because of his
yeah, they
attitude.
would.
They would crucify
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
because of his attitude. And it's like women can have the poorest attitude in the world, and still they're looked at for, how good can it, how bad would it look if we gave such a harsh sentence? Like with Amber Geiger, that's somebody who no one talks about ever anymore, even though the media was in a rage about her when it first happened. But she literally walked into some dude's house and shot him dead. Now, the circumstances behind that, she thought it was her apartment. He lived upstairs. How do you know to just walk right in knowing somebody's going to be there and shoot them? That has to be premeditated, but they're never going to look at it that way because the woman's always going to be let off, with like scot free,
Then on
or
top
she
of that,
got forgiven, and the guy, he got
he
hugged.
has a Haitian rug outside his fucking house. She has no rug outside her house.
Exactly. How's she gonna know about the rug? How's she gonna think the rug's hers? Like, ooh, somebody just gifted me. One of my admirers gifted me a free Haitian rug. I'm just gonna ignore this from this
That
beta
sounds
male
like
over
on
here.
some OnlyFans shit. That sounds like
I
some
know, right?
OnlyFans
I know,
shit.
right? Like she had somebody from her OnlyFans was like, I'm sending you a rug that day. It's like, oh, it's a coincidence. Oh, I didn't know there's somebody in my house. I'm gonna shoot them and kill them. And that story never made sense to me. A lot of these stories where it says that, she was just acting out of self-defense or something, a lot of those stories don't really make a lot of sense to me. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and meanwhile,
Self-defense.
I
Right.
I keep always having questions about these closed cases where it's a guy, and obviously, he's the bigger, stronger person. That's the only thing that is really the conundrum about the situation. And it's like, how do guys deal with stuff when they're so big and strong? They kind of have to, like, force things or nail things or like hit or, like, move things or carry burdens until they just can't anymore and they break down. And
True.
there's like that one that I shared with Tico where it's the guy leaves his kid in the car, and it's just like a break in his, it's just like it slips his mind that his kid's in the car and his kid cooks in the car. And
Yeah,
then
but if a mom would have did that, she'd have
but
probably
the
got
and the
off for
mom
it would have been
reacts
an
so
accident.
strangely. Like, the mom goes into the interrogation room, she's all like, do you think we're gonna have another? And like all this like weird demented stuff, and it's like, not just like no one can be a little bit flawed or anything. That's what people basically take away from it. Take away from how people like me assess the situation, but it's like literally no.
But I think that dude's actually serving jail time for that.
Oh yeah, for leaving his kid in the car, like because of the
But there's
amount of
there's
people
women
that.
there's women that done worse to their children who serve
I remember.
zero
I
jail time.
remember.
Yeah, like
I
Casey
remember.
Anthony,
I remember when I was young.
Casey Anthony, what she did was definitely premeditated. Like,
This
there's
chick.
no doubt about
Yeah,
that shit.
there was a chick that took her kids and drove them into
Matter of
the
fact, her
lake.
entire defense was actually gaslighting.
Yeah, yeah. And same
Her
with
entire defense was a
Dolly
good example of
Toledo.
gaslighting.
Exactly, because they basically told, because they switched everything from when Casey was a little girl, she was molested, and when Casey, and I think that was Dolly Toledo, but they might have tried some similar shit
Yeah, they
with
did try
Casey
what they
Anthony.
did try that with her. They also did the whole entire. Well, it wasn't her; it was the nanny, or it wasn't her; it was her father or her mother. So they basically threw everybody under the bus but Casey Anthony. And the sad part about that, they tried the whole entire. Well, she was abused when she was a child, or she was sexually assaulted when she was a child, and they tried everything under the sun. They literally gaslit the whole entire time in that trial. And I'm shocked the judge even let that shit even happen because, like, I'm sorry, they wouldn't let that. They wouldn't even let me get away with half that shit that she got away with in that courtroom.
Oh yeah, that would be a wrap, dude. If you showed any sign of like, you can't even, as a man, you can't even show confidence that a situation is going to work out if you don't have something,
Mhm.
some
You're
insane amount
guilty
of.
until proven innocent. And
The
then
sad
Yeah,
you
part
get
about it, you can
like,
have
guilty.
the
You're
same.
still
The
guilty.
sad part about it, you can have the same amount of evidence, and you still would be tried as guilty, basically. What?
yeah, unless you're a
Look
part of
at. I
these
mean, look at
untouchables.
Johnny Depp.
Exactly, he's a perfect example of gaslighting once again, and the domestic situations,
Hmm.
because he can react physically, based on his emotions, but they never fault a woman for react or for, like, doing this emotional stuff day in and day out, and planning to do it, like
Hmm.
setting aside time to screw with their man on a daily basis, and it never gets acknowledged, it never gets pointed out.
Yeah, it never
And
Yeah, it
does,
will
and it's
never.
sad.
It will never get pointed out. I mean,
and that's
if
when
it does,
whenever you
if
hear a
it,
woman saying, like, he was abusive to me, just think that every single day that, and if it's he wasn't abusive to me, he was abusive to me, and the relationship lasted one day. As soon as he abused me, I was out. Then you have to think every day after that first abuse was emotional abuse, going right back the other way, even maybe preceding the physical, because that's how the stuff happens. It just builds up and builds
let
up
me
and builds
break
up.
this
So
Yeah,
all
to
of a
you.
sudden you smack. All of a
Let
because
me
the
sudden you
sad
break
part
this
smack
about
to
the
them,
sad
you.
man.
part of well, no, because the sad part about that is it's not even a thing of, like, you got to think that way. It's more or less the fact that it's more so like you basically know who the person is when you marry that person. A guy doesn't have a representative like a woman has a representative. Women come with 6, 7, 8, 9, 20 representatives. A man comes with 0 representatives. So if the man was controlling in the beginning, you pretty much know how that shit's going to pan out. If the man got mad enough to hit something, he's going to probably get mad enough to hit you. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like you can't play stupid to me because the sad part about that, the signs are always the fucking same for every man that's an abusive man. The signs are always the fucking same. It never fucking changes. It's always fucking consistent. It may vary, but it's always consistent. Like you can't sit up here and tell me, well, I never knew he was this abusive. He punched the fucking wall. What part of that screams not abusive? Like legit. Or my favorite is, well, I didn't know he was abusive. He yelled at you while slapping the shit out of something. He's abusive, lady. He's fucking abusive.
Yeah.
Let it the fuck go and get up out of your unicorn and rainbows world. Like, and women just do this stupid shit. And the sad part about that, it's one thing if a woman gets over on a man. It's a totally different thing for a man to get over on a woman because it's virtually damn near impossible for a man to get over on a woman because the nigga's always clumsy. So it's one of those things where it's like, no, come on now, bitch. Don't tell me that bullshit. Don't tell me that bullshit at all.
Because like that's what it is. Like don't get me wrong. I try to be like super smooth, like Jay-Z. Like I drop ketchup and it or mustard on my tie and it just like dances off my tie and doesn't make a stain. But I make mistakes occasionally, and that's because not everything I do is so planned and structured. I like to go off the hip sometimes. But with when it comes to manipulation and stuff, you can tell that the way women do it, it's so clean. There's no like bruises, there's no wounds, there's nothing, there's no evidence. And that's why they get away with it in court. And guys think that they could be more aggressive and maintain frame, and they're going to get out of paying child support. It's like, no, you literally have to be even more clean than how a woman would be when it comes to like your case and everything. You can't have a single scar.
Like a woman is clean. A woman's clean, but you got to be SEAL Team 6 to beat a woman in case. In that type
you
of
got to
case.
be like freaking predator missile. You can't even beat your president in there.
You basically gotta have a clean. You better have a clean bill of health.
You gotta be Agent 47.
Like literally, if I were to have children and get married, and they go into my past, they would have everything at their fingertips to destroy my life. They would use my military service. They would use the fact that I've been through some things as a kid. They would use the fact a lot of things. They would use whatever they could get their hands on, and to destroy my life. And it's like, like I said, they will use whatever. You could be clean, have a clean record, clean criminal record, clean bill of psychological health. You served in a non-combat MOS, basically made to the rank of fucking sergeant major, captain, or goddamn general. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you served in a non-combat MOS, basically the head of your goddamn graduating class, because you are a man. Because you are a man, it doesn't freaking matter. They will screw your life up. Like
Yeah.
I said,
but it's not even just that, though. That's just surface level stuff. But it's more so the fact that how society is set up on a fundamental level is females are the fairer sex, men are the stronger sex. Therefore, women can do no wrong because we see women as the nurturer, carer, the nurturers, when in fact it is. And I always found it funny how we see them as nurturer carers when they're the ones that's like throwing babies in dumpsters, aborting babies, and leaving babies somewhere, putting cigarettes on babies, throwing babies on TikTok, shit like that. But they're the carer nurturer ones, though, and I've always found that funny how that shit actually works. It's like I would never think to do no stupid shit like this to my children.
That is one of the most criminal things
And everybody's
really,
okay with them doing this shit. Like on TikTok, it's apparently it's a thing
way I
because it's a
see
Apparently,
it,
fad.
it's cute.
Because it's a fad. It's apparently because it's a fad. They can't be arrested for it. I guess.
guess
Let a
what?
guy do that on TikTok. He'd be all types of arrested. That nigga be under the
Be
jail.
hung. Yeah.
Guess
He'd
what?
be
When a
catching a
man
firing
does what? Hey,
squad.
guess what? Hey, guess what? When a man does it, when a man does something like that, it's a crying shame. Everybody freaks out. But when a woman does something stuff like that, it's retroactive abortion.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Retroactive abortion.
people are upset about late term abortion or the fact that as soon as the
I'm not
baby
upset.
leaves,
I'm not
as
upset
soon as the
about it.
baby leaves, yeah,
You know
well,
why
no,
I'm
you
not
shouldn't
upset
be. You
about it?
shouldn't be because
Yeah, no,
it's been
it
it's
doesn't.
been
That doesn't
custom.
matter when. Like the abortion thing doesn't really matter. It's just basically he's basically just describing a point right now.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm,
it's not really something that anyone should be upset about because to be honest, like there's been women have had permission to torture and make a baby's life a living hell from the time that they're young until the time that they're damn near almost in the grave along with their
and
son
they're
or
like,
their sons or their daughters or anything. Like they're able to be there from cradle to the grave
and
sometimes
then
if they're unlucky, like, and they're always able to cause torment and stuff and ruin their kid's life. And the sad
Like
thing is like their kids aren't even aware of that. Like they're too busy projecting and blaming other people for how they feel inside, and it's like based on the decisions that their parent and themselves make, but they just can't help but blame other people. And then on the other side, you have these men who like Win was getting ready to say, like don't they don't have anything invested in the system, but just because they're a man, they are what Tico said. They are like a net gain. So someone's going to be looking to take advantage of them. So
right.
that's always going to be a fact, and there's no amount of like strong arming you're going to do to get out of that responsibility that you have as a man. If they put male on your birth certificate, then this is the life. Like welcome to your life. It's not going to
yeah,
change.
and the sad part about that,
It's blunt, but that's it's just brutally honest. That's how it is. That's how it's going to be.
yeah. But the irony to that is, there was a story that we read about in one of our news articles where a woman literally, supposedly she was in an abusive relationship, allegedly. So she had multiple children with this guy, but she was in an abusive relationship, but they lived together. But not only did she kill the husband and shoot him, she set the house on fire with all the children in it. Then she proceeded to take the baby and drive her car, put it in the back seat, and proceeded to drive the car into a freaking lake or river, basically, to drown the baby in herself. Luckily, the children lived, and luckily the children lived, and they were able to like find the car so they can get the baby out, the infant out of the car. Because the sad part about that, you can't sit up here and tell me you were in an abusive relationship and you had multiple children with a man. Then you were in an abusive relationship again, and you have multiple children with the man. But then you're taking pictures smiling with the man. But then you have another baby with the man. It's like, come on now, come on now, come on now. After a while, it's either you got to take ownership for the shit that you got yourself into,
Well, they're
or
like they're like a CIA agent building a case or a detective building a case
no,
on
that's what
on.
that's not even building a case. That's just some bullshit after a while. Because you can't
Mhm.
sit up there and tell me that you're in an abusive relationship and you have another child, and you're in an abusive relationship and you have another child, and you have an abusive relationship and you have another child, and you have another child, and you have another child, and then
Dumb
like
man right.
years later, after having multiple children, you decide to have an infant with the same fucking man. What part of that says I'm okay? Then I turn around and then shoot the man, then set the house on fire while trapping your children inside the fucking house. Your children, not just your husband that you set on fire, but not just your husband that you killed. You
Your
trapped
children.
your children in the fucking house and set the house on fucking fire while they were in it. And then you took the baby, put it in the back seat, and drove the car into a river.
Mhm.
What
Yeah,
part of
that's
that
pretty much.
screams okay? What part
And
of that
then
screams abuse?
like you said, okay
Apparently,
is
the
associated with
society.
okay
Apparently
is
to
associated with
society.
clumsiness, which is associated with women when men are more clumsy and like more physically culpable, and which means like it's more likely that they are the reason something physically happened. But if you look at deeper, you notice that all of these plans are being put in place by who? Like the woman. Like all these situations are being facilitated by the person who keeps opening their legs,
Hmm.
and it perpetuates through them. It doesn't perpetuate through us. Like when girls come on here and say that we men perpetuate rape culture, it's like, well then why
How do
aren't you
you
guys
like it?
getting? Yeah, it's like why aren't you guys proposing to men to mitigate the amount? And I'm not saying marriage isn't prostitution. I'm just saying why aren't you proposing to men instead of waiting for us to do it, therefore giving you and all the creepy guys all these outs, all these chances, all the you just want to be
Let me
single
make this
forever,
to you.
right? And you just want to ride the CC forever, right? So
Let me make this to you.
who's really perpetuating it?
Yeah.
Let me make
The
this
sad
to
part
you.
about that is women perpetuate rape culture no matter what, whether you like it or not. Because what you can't sit up there and tell me is like, I want to live free and I want to be able to do all this stuff, but there's still sick individuals out there. You do understand this. But I'm a feminist, so that shouldn't matter. Yeah, that doesn't change the fact that there's still sick, vile men outside that will kill you, rape you, and do vile things to your fucking body. And this is the
I
problem that I
know,
have with
right?
women. They
I'll
throw
be sitting in
caution
the
to the
house.
fucking women. They
Yeah,
throw caution.
I'll be sitting in a house with somebody, and she's like, "Oh, like rapists and racists and stuff." I'm like, "You're in
They
this.
will.
You're saying that because you're in this house, my house right now. If you were out there, you wouldn't be saying the same thing because then you'd be accessible to them.
The
But
marriage
because you're in
laws.
the house and the doors are locked, you feel okay saying whatever that you want to say. But imagine if you were out there with all those people that you're afraid of.
I have a
You'd
question.
have to be singing a different tune, you know. But sorry, Tika, I cut you off. But like
Yeah,
that, yeah, it's
I got a
all
question.
privilege. It's all a bunch
I
of
got a
privilege.
question. Why do they have marriage laws?
Because people obviously want to try to get married. They
No,
openly
no,
want
no.
to
You
try to
have
get
to look
married.
deeper than that. Why do they have marriage laws?
Because marriage can't be done properly by themselves. I guess. I mean, they
No,
can, should be.
it's to govern the man. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kiko.
Marriage has nothing to do with this. Y'all just inflating this whole entire thing and fucking it
Oh,
up.
sorry.
Y'all
Yeah,
taking it
but
off in another direction
but it's
altogether.
like,
The sad part
but
about that is when it comes down to it, it's all about women not being able to own up to their own responsibilities and women not being able to understand that they're like a good example. If like the thing that they teach you when there's a fire outside the door, they teach you to touch the doorknob basically to see if it's hot. If it's hot, 9 times out of 10, there's a fire outside the door. Unfortunately, women can't do that shit in real life. I'm not saying they can't do that now, but they typically can't do that with actual life in danger because they don't have the they don't have to take responsibility for shit actually happening or shit unfolding in front of their eyes. They can always blame somebody else. Like a good example, if a fire breaks out, they can blame the door, the wall, the sky, the guy, anybody else under the sun. Despite the fact that they're burning alive, they'll blame everything else around them for the fact that they're burning alive. Despite the fact that the bitch ran through the fucking fire. And that's typically how women work. Women don't really think before they do. They end up running through the fucking fire. Then they'll blame the guy who set the fire on why they're on fire after running through the freaking fire. Like, what? What? How does that make sense? Like, you can't blame the guy. You can't blame the guy who set the fire if you're the one running through the damn fire. It doesn't work like that. That's not how any of this shit works in the least bit. You can't sit up here and pretend like all this shit means nothing when in fact you're the one who ran through this shit and caught yourself on fire. It doesn't work like
you're
that.
the one, right? And like I said, something. You're the one who opened up your mouth and and got maced. You
Mm-hmm.
gaslight. You open up your mouth. You got you freaking gaslighted the situation. The person got sick. Somebody got sick of you. You flapping your gums, and guess what?
Hmm.
Now you got maced. Now you're screaming. Now you're screaming.
And
You're screaming.
another clumsy thing that guys do is they're just like, they get in a relationship and they're like, all right, she's mine, and then like they're like, I can still have my goals. I want a house. I want 2 cars.
This, that, and the
I
other.
want to pick events, and it's like he doesn't realize that she views that as he wants all this stuff for her, or he
Well,
or
no, because
together they
the
can
sad part.
have
No,
this stuff.
see, this is where you're messing up again, Yam. That's not what. That's actually not what men actually want. That's what women want in that relationship. That's not what men actually go for. Men can be found in a cardboard box and going to work every day as long as the cardboard box got cable and some internet and a PlayStation, basically. Um, Women's the one who want all this shit. And if a man has a nice car, he's doing it for a woman. He doesn't do it for himself. He does it for a woman, for the attention of a woman. So the sad part about that, everything in society is for women. Even though they say they're oppressed and there's nothing and everything is going wrong and everything's shit
They
and
get pandered
everything's
to.
against women, everything is built for women in the society at the end of the day. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Everything
It's
all the way down
pandered
to
to.
dishwashers, refrigerators, stoves,
Cars.
cars. No, not even cars now. Cars are so idiot proof. If you actually need an oil change, you're very stupid. Like,
Right.
stuff is so idiot proof. Hell, cars even send signals to the dealership that you need one, and they'll call your ass letting you know that you might want to bring your car. It's like, it's that serious. Or, your car will send a signal to your cell phone like you need an oil change via text message. Because
Yeah.
that's the only time women pay attention is to a fucking text message. Now it does that. Now all you got to do is take in your car. So if you miss that, you're idiot. You're literally an idiot because everything is idiot proof now just for this reason. And the sad part about that is women can still pass off the blame no matter what's going on. Well, I didn't know I needed an oil change. You got like 9 text messages from your fucking car saying I need an oil change. Are you fucking serious? You didn't seem to miss those text messages for girls' night out Friday, but you missed the car text messages though.
Which is
Yeah, it's a lot of like empty information or stuff that are just like when you watch The View, they talk for like
oh,
30 minutes, but they hardly talk about anything. And it's like
what they
that's like the kind of information we consume. Like we get like non-fat, non-dairy, non-milk milk, or half milk, half not milk,
the
or something
view is
like that. And it's
the
all
view
just
is a
to make
gaslight
examples.
fest. The view is a railroad lantern festival within itself.
Yeah,
You
even
know,
going to their fridge is being gaslit because you're like, I
right?
want some milk, and you open it up, and it's like almond milk, non-fat, GMO, non-GMO,
The thing is,
Okay,
non-real.
now y'all just diluting the whole entire thing of
well,
gaslighting now,
okay,
running
all
away with
right.
this
Here's
crap.
what I'm gonna do.
Like, yeah,
I'm just
like
gonna go. I'm just gonna go blunt. You know, gaslighting. It, let's just how would I freaking put this in the most blunt context? Um,
gaslighting is basically if you basically everybody remembers something a certain way, and somebody turns around and says that's not how it happened.
it's
This is
like
how it happened, and they
yeah,
tell some fantastical story on top of the actual truth. Basically, anytime when it's not the
AKA
fucking anytime they tell some shit, some bullshit over the actual truth, or they try to rewrite history over again to basically make it fit their narrative or their need or to make you look crazy. They're basically gaslighting you. That'd be like
Or it
if
was casual
that'd be like
that's
flirting.
like
that
that's,
like
that's
no
like
like a good example of that is if a good example of that is if I was to go to Yam, like, oh yeah, if I was to go to if me and Yam were talking about how Thursday, we'll just say we went to the club on Thursday, there was a fist fight, we all got out the fight, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. Then Wayne comes in and says, no, y'all didn't get out the fight, y'all was actually in the fight, and y'all got beat up, and this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. Nigga, what? No, that's not how that went down. Yes, it is. I was there. Y'all got into a fight. Y'all took an L. Y'all had to go to the hospital,
Mhm.
and then y'all get released from the hospital like hours later. Like that's not how that went. I never went to the hospital. I went straight home.
It has to do a
That
lot too
that's
with
basically
someone's being
gaslighting and a half.
accused. Yeah,
Basically,
right.
anytime
If
you try to
someone's being accused.
anytime you try to rewrite a story or rewrite history or
oh shit.
retell how something actually works, you're gaslighting somebody. Or
So I
if
mean, the
you
public,
or
so
or,
the
or a good example of that is if you say something and somebody lies and make you sound crazy, Basically, like if you say, "What was raining yesterday?" When they go,
Or if you
"No, you're
accuse them of
wrong.
something.
You're wrong. The sun was shining yesterday, and the sun was shining all day. It wasn't raining all day yesterday. But you
So that
remember
means
wearing a
that.
coat to work.
So that
You're
means
basically
that.
being gaslit by somebody.
So basically, that means that the public schools are gaslighting because they're
We're
literally.
not we're not, we're not even gonna bring those into that because we're gonna make this more complicated than it needs to be.
Okay. Alrighty,
Like it's basically in simple terms. Look, if somebody says something and then somebody comes with something, some alternative facts, we'll refer to it.
oh,
Alternative facts to the actual facts, they're gaslighting you, basically. So somebody says, I got 150 votes, basically, and then somebody turns around and goes, no, you only got 23 votes. But you're looking at the paperwork and it says 150, but you're sitting up there telling you only got 23 votes, and you said, well, my paperwork says this. Well, your paperwork is wrong, and you might want to go reprint and check that again. They're basically gaslighting the fuck out of you, basically, at that point. So we're not even going to try to redefine this shit because we're going to make it more complicated than it needs to be. We're just going to no. We're not going to. We're not going to. We're not going. We're not going to do it. We're just going to leave it at that, so we won't make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, I think we beat it to the ground.
Basically, when anytime somebody says some alternative facts to the actual facts, they're gaslighting you, and especially if they make you sound crazy or make you believe some shit that actually didn't happen, they're gaslighting you. Or if they tell you some stuff that didn't happen that you don't quite recall and it sounds like it's off, they're probably gaslighting you.
Yeah.
Or if they try to rewrite history, they're gaslighting you. Kind of like how women rewrite history on voting. Well, women never had a chance to vote. There were women voting in the 1800s.
Yeah.
How did women not have the right to vote if women were voting in the 1800s? Hell, there were women even voting as far back as the 1700s. What?
Wow.
So it's one of those things where it's like you got women over here rewriting history, saying that women never had the chance to vote. Meanwhile, women did have the chance to vote as long as they own some land or a business, or they had land rights basically, or business or anything along the lines of that. They were able to vote. There were women voting for the longest time. So for women to rewrite history on women weren't allowed to vote till like the 1900s was full of shit. If women own land or women own property or women own the business or women came from a wealthy family, they were allowed to vote.
Yeah, we definitely beat this.
Choosing signals.
Chico beat the fucking that topic to the ground.
But yeah, Choosey signals, Choosey signals, desperate signals, and
let's go with domestic
signals.
violence because the Choosey signals and the they don't typically register with me.
We already kind of sort of talked about domestic violence when we talked about how they pretty much do this shit. So we'll go with domestic violence some more. We pretty much included domestic violence into like gaslighting, but typically domestic violence is basically domestic violence. And the sad part about that is it's been expanded on quite so much it's getting ridiculous. Whereas now, domestic violence is any type of violence or abuse, basically. That let it be financial, let it be verbal, let it be physical, let it be emotional. Yeah, let it be emotional, let it be anything, basically. Well, that's in Spain with the olfactory one. I wouldn't be shocked if you could pull that shit off here in America, though.
Well, it's like anytime you accuse somebody of domestic violence, if they're a female, they're always going to say, well, it wasn't necessarily that I hit you, I just, forcefully patted you. And that's
gaslighting like a motherfucker right there. Yeah, that's basically gaslighting like a motherfucker. The whole entire story. Well, I didn't hit. I merely touched you, Johnny. Yeah, bitch, you're gaslighting now. But yeah, it's just basically one of those things. When it comes to abuse, it's like women have so many avenues to call abuse on you. So now this is typically where you always find in America where all the women are abused in America for some odd reason. About like 80% of the whole entire society is fucking abused women. When in fact, we know it's false. Like, how are you abused woman when you've never even been in a relationship? You're abused, right? And it's one of those things where it's like how is 80% of the fucking society abused? Like, you can't be all abused. Because if that was the case, none of y'all would be married and all of y'all would be in a psych ward.
Right.
Let's just keep it
It's like,
100. Or all of y'all would be prostitutes
I mean,
or in
first off,
jail
it's like,
or have children
so
already. Well, a lot of them do, sadly.
shit.
So it's like
Yeah,
one of those
and
things where it's like one of
domestic
those things.
violence because they have kids, they can't be capable of violence. But even though, because having babies isn't seen as being violent, but at the same time, you
Okay.
have you have those kids just so that you can like extort money from a man. That's pretty violent to me. That sounds pretty malicious
Mhm.
to me.
Now, well, the thing is, like, my understanding is a little more blunt. A woman can punch the brakes off of your face, but the second you move to protect your face, it's now abuse. You now put your hands up to protect your face. You have no other choice but to stand there and get your freaking face pounded in, getting your freaking balls kicked and freaking
There's,
chest
there's,
caved in.
there's a problem with the whole entire abuse narrative. Like Lynn was trying to say, but he kept on running with it. He went too far with it. But basically, if a woman can hit you all fucking day, then she could plead that she was threatened. The sad part about that, if you put your hands up, you pretty much feel threatened. But the sad part about that, as long as she keeps hitting you, that lets you know that she's not threatened. That lets you know that she's emboldened to fucking hit you at that point. So if a woman's willing to hit you, I would say this: either get your sisters to fuck her up, or get your grandma to fuck her up, or get your mom
Right,
to fuck her up, or pay some females in the neighborhood to fuck her up. Because at the end of the day, what you ain't finna do is put your hands on me and think you finna get away with it without getting an
Hey,
ass whooping.
him.
Because
Yeah.
I will pay family members to beat your ass in a heartbeat. Hell, I will text my grandma so she can airstrike your ass on an ass whooping. I don't give a damn. She'll send like a Jamaican. She'll send an Indian woman. You'll get beat up by a Latina woman by the time you pick up your hand. You done got your
yeah,
ass whooped. You be on the ground.
By three
right,
different races of women.
Three different races of women. You done got your ass whooped.
right.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
that's tough.
yeah, for sure.
And the sad part
And it's
about
like,
that is
yeah,
like you as a man got to be able to protect yourself. And if a woman's hitting you, your cell phone is going to be your best friend. Keep it close to your chest and keep it recording that bitch while she's doing all this shit. And make sure your hands aren't going up towards her way so she can't call you for some shit. Basically, like take your cell phone, put it close to your chest, and record that bitch hitting you.
yeah. It's
Pretty
like if you
much.
show a graph of to these people that says like amount of domestic violence goes up or is like correlated to women, they won't. That's the only way they will believe it because all they're taught to look at these graphs like it's religion. Like they see the domestic violence charts go up and then they're just like, oh my god, it's men. There's no way I could be abusive. I'm gonna go beat on my white husband and tell him that all men suck, and that they're doing the exact thing that they didn't want to do, and that's kind of like all hidden within the home. Like it's all
Yeah, the
stuff
sad
that
part about that is most domestic violence isn't men. It's actually women actually committing the domestic violence on their
Mhm.
husband. But how society sees it is they're the weaker, fairer sex, so therefore they can't really do any harm. But the sad part about that is what they leave out is perfectly fine for a woman to physically beat up a man and him not to. And the sad part about that is what we leave out about this shit is a lot of these men actually suffer from PTSD from being married. But we ain't gonna talk about that though. We're gonna sweep that under the rug for the fact that she's the weaker, fairer sex, so we're not gonna arrest her for this shit. And the sad part about that is a lot of this shit, men would go to jail for on a heartbeat. Hell, I've actually seen men get arrested coming home from work, and the cops are literally waiting at the door after the wife said, "Oh, he beat me up, and come get him out the house." This nigga's literally pulling up from work, and he's getting arrested by the police, and the police are already at the house.
Yeah, and the people that that these women pick, like the simps, are like predisposed to responding to authority. So they'll respond to the authority in her voice and the authority of the cops when they come and pick him up. So that he doesn't really. He may fight all of them each step of the way, but he's still like made to capitulate. Like and that's why she beat him because she lost respect for him as soon as he changed, and he wanted to change for her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the way that, and that's why they feel so unsatisfied even after multiple relationships. Whereas like a guy can just have one relationship and it'll be fine. And like I think the violence is because of this like this frustration with not being able to accomplish something. And you said something in the video where you're like, they get with somebody who's really attractive, but then they can't even sleep in the same, or they can't even like have sex without, or they can't even have sex and like reach an orgasm with the person that they
Yeah.
picked. So it's like, what is that person for if not like it's like somebody playing with their food, almost like
Provider,
Mm-hmm.
punching bag.
punching bag, yeah, punching bag, play
Well,
with
no,
their
we're
wallet.
talking about the hot attractive person, basically.
Oh, how to
We're
say?
not we're
Oh,
not talking.
that's to get the bones jumped.
But
Well,
then
no, because the
like,
sad part about that is
yeah,
though they're not reaching climax or they're not orgasming, which is the problem. So there's
Oh,
not their bones
oh,
getting jumped. Their bones getting jumped means dick basically at this point, which is like
it's
then
basically
why are you in
stat.
this
It would be like
relationship?
status, like the looks
Yeah,
bring some sort of status. That would be the
like
only
everybody
redeeming.
just envious her of having a very attractive boyfriend basically at that point. And it's always been one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like, well, yeah, no. And it's like
an accessory.
that's pretty much all it really is. And it's one of those things where it's like that's all women see. Like everybody's going to be jealous of you. Okay,
Accessory. Let's
everybody's jealous of you, but you're not having an orgasm. Yeah, that
right.
makes sense.
So everybody's jealous of your useless accessory, right?
Because the sad part about that, believe it or not, more women who are attractive men actually have more vibrators and they cheat more than normal ass women dating normal ass men. It is what it is. Most of the most attractive people in relationships with most attractive people end up cheating on those attractive people with other people or people of less than status or something like that. Basically, out of convenience. Like I said, I'm not the most attractive person in the world, but if I'm banging your wife
Mm,
and
eh, you happen to be living in a Fifth Avenue apartment, a Fifth Avenue condo, or a Fifth Avenue place, and I'm banging your wife off the terrace. There's a bit of a problem with that, pimpin'. There's a bit of a problem with that. Um, and it's
Yeah,
always been one
no.
of those things that we're
Mhm.
like, no, I'm not Chad and Tyrone, but I'm still banging your wife, and she calls me her personal trainer, and your ass pays me to be her personal trainer, and the only thing I'm personally training is that pussy. So, like, think
And
about that
yeah,
shit. And I'm not the most attractive person in the world, but if your wife is willing to cheat with me, there's obviously a problem.
that's true. And then like that's they
And
leave
this is
it
where
for what?
genetics actually gets tough. This is actually where genetics gets tossed out the damn door.
Yeah.
Genetics, bro. Yeah, because Chris Helmsworth's wife is letting me bang the fuck out of her on his terrace, basically, and he's paying me to bang the fuck out of his wife, thinking I'm her
ah,
personal trainer.
Yeah, genetics is all about fatherhood and this whole Prussian idea or like old age idea of like successors and heirs and stuff and like carrying blood. Like these people were so crazy they literally entire nations married into one country's family because of this perception that they had some sort of leader quality in their genes. So that's where like the whole
Sad
genetic.
part about that is a lot of these motherfuckers actually end up intermarrying their own fucking family members.
Exactly. And it's like,
hey,
yeah, if you
cue the
look, and then
banjo.
Incest
exactly
much.
right, exactly,
No,
and
no,
it's like
no,
if
no, 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 no.
and then just because a person like a non-white person wants to have some sort of level of standards, that person is seen as representing the white supremacy just because they don't want to call everybody queen and stuff. So that right there is just indicative of of like people have no people have no conception about what people actually do in their private lives. Everything is just for show, for right now, for what we can see. And then when behind closed doors, people live completely different lives. And then it doesn't matter what they're getting, the kind of satisfaction they're getting. All that matters is like how it looks and yeah, then we're getting into like social media and everything like that when it comes to like how women choose men and how that's how a lot of people like to pretend like Tinder is the whole kit and caboodle and the whole shebang of dating when it's really not.
True.
Um, and it's like people will mistake even girls that they sleep with too because a lot of people will be really on some bullshit when it comes to how they study the opposite sex. It's like they really have no self-awareness. Like they think that women are giving them validation. Meanwhile, they're giving women validation and they're passing it off as like the women liking them.
Hmm.
And so sometimes you got to be careful because that's what you like when I see these like desperate when I see people respond to these desperate choosing signals. It's like they're basically throwing the coochie at you and you have two choices. You either ignore it or you go on the plantation. Is basically how I see it. You either ignore it or you go back on the plantation. So it's like, and people don't see it that way. At least if you go over to the of one side of YouTube over here, they're talking about, oh, that's good, or that proves looks money status because this person's throwing desperate choosing signals at this other person over here. And you're like, what in what world? It's like just because somebody's throwing desperate choosing signals doesn't mean you acknowledge that. That means that if you were to respond, that means that you're basically stooping down to that woman's level.
Yeah. And the sad
Basically.
part about that is it's one of those things where it's like they talk about this. This cruise looks money status. Okay, when I showed up at the gym, nobody knew when I drove to the gym. Nobody seen me walk to my car. Nobody sees my car keys. So how does it look money status when I got a lady on a treadmill on an elliptical trying to come all the way over to me and speak to me while I'm on the road?
That's because you're not paying attention to her and you're
Yeah, like
kind of
how
treating
does that looks
everybody
money
in that.
status when it's actually
Yeah.
happened? That's like freaky Jersey tales. Women always come up to him at the fucking gym all the damn time. They don't know what kind of car he got. They don't know what kind of job he has. They don't know anything about him. Hell, if you let Freaky Jersey talk, the way he talks is like he literally needs his job and he makes it sound like he's living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes how he talks, but the sad part about that he's probably not. But the sad part about that is the way he talks, it sounds like he is. And the sad part about that is he's not looks money status. He's just Freaky Jersey tales.
I've heard women say this too. They're like, "Ooh, I like a boy that sounds cute. I like a boy that sounds all sweet and stuff, and I like a boy that's like simping for me hard." But then
Fuck.
they just like him around so that they can make the guys who don't care get jealous
Yeah.
because even though these guys are able to maintain some sort of preserve self some sort of self validation, they still are looking for validation from other men. And when other men shame them for not paying attention to a woman, then all of a sudden it's back to plantation time. It's like, yeah, you got to go plantation because all my boys said it's okay to go to the plantation. It's like, dude, we just lost so much ground with the manosphere and everything in just one little moment. And it that's
Right.
and it's every single time this happens. And it's like, yeah, definitely the trollosphere is just toxic. I know people are gonna hate using that word, but it's toxic. I mean, it really is, and not in a good way, because it's just really it softens men. Everything about it softens what we are, who we are, what we stand for.
Very
And
true.
it's like if you can't protect yourself, if you can't protect other brothers in the manosphere, you're just a weak link in the whole chain that keeps us that keeps everybody coming back. Because that's something everybody's like, break your chains. It's like, well, no, don't break the ones that are like useful. Don't break the good ones. Just break the ones that are bad. It's
Hmm.
like and I think there's still more lack of self awareness too, or just the idea that young men who are going their own way, yeah, they're probably not the best place you is like if you're talking to if women are trying to holler at you, it's like, yeah, you're kind of barking up the wrong tree, lady, but men are gonna handle it the way they handle it.
Yeah.
Like it's like you are definitely looking at somebody who is dangerous for all intents and
Mm-hmm.
purposes. So it's like if you're gonna play around with somebody who's dangerous, they'll be upset when they like when all of a sudden you're like oh my gosh, and it's like, oh
I
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
can't believe he
here we
did
go.
this.
Or my favorite is it's like it's all fun and games, so you play with fire and get burned. Basically, is what he's basically
Mhm.
trying to say. Because at the end of the day, what you can't sit up here and do is sit here and just keep on striking matches and just tossing them without
Yeah,
eventually catching on fire.
yeah, exactly. Like women in the manosphere is like a baby with a matchstick walking around in a bunch of like open oil wells. Like when they burn the oil, it's like she's just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, what can I, what kind of drama can I cause today? It's like she's just walking around open oil wells and just a box of matches, and she's just
Mm-hmm.
striking them. That's exactly how I see it. It's funny. It's funny that you said it like that. It's exactly how I see it. Like,
Because at the end of the day, like I said, you play with fire, you're going to get burned eventually. I mean, not
mhm.
everybody can be Tico trained and not get burned, but I've seen bitches get their eyebrows singed off. That's funny as hell. When I see that happen, I'd be cracking up. A nigga be on the ground weak as hell when I see a bitch singe her eyebrows. Like, but yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like you gotta be able to accept responsibility and take responsibility for your actions. Because the minute you don't and you can't, you'll find out very quickly that life isn't going to be as fun as you think it's going to be. What's up,
So
America
yeah,
Seville?
Americus is here, and the whole debt like choosing sales from desperate sources. We gotta eliminate that as being not even anything to even talk about because honestly, even talking crap about women on social media, that social media post is their desperate cry for help. So why would you call any attention to that if you really wanted nothing to do with them? It's like you're pretty much going against everything you stand for, and that's what we were talking about when it came to like the whole bitches ain't shit kind of thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's true that that's bad, but it doesn't actually help better men, and in fact, it's using the guys that are enabling all that bad behavior and kind of trying to glean some sort of like sadistic pleasure out of it, which is it's not everybody's cup of tea, but what everybody likes to do, I think, is grow. And it's like I don't lately with the gaslighting and stuff that's been happening and the desperation and that people not really because things have been quiet and they haven't really had a way to get at us, and then now all of a sudden everybody's back in their feelings, kind of like what Win was saying. It's like a lot of men are on their man period, and it's just like
Yeah. Yeah, I will. Yeah, good one. Good one.
I remember when you said that it was like it wasn't even not even a month ago when you said that.
Right.
So,
A lot of men are getting ready to get on their man periods and to get on all up in their feelings because they backed up and they need to fucking jack off.
backed up. Wow. Yeah. Yep. Backed up. You could get snatched up.
Hey, I mean, come on. I
Good
mean,
And,
stuff,
and
Hidden.
it's funny. It's funny because they literally are like, well, first they'll gaslight you, then they'll strawman you, then they'll do the goalpost, and then they'll be like, "Come see me." Isn't that crazy how they say some
yeah,
shit like that?
Hell,
They'll be
there's
like,
men that say that stupid shit.
exactly. They'll be like, well,
it's
if you
just,
got a problem with it, all he had to do is say something. It's like you wouldn't let the man talk this whole entire time. You kept
right.
interrupting him,
And
and
it's
it's
Mm-hmm.
like,
just like,
And the
and
sad
then
part
the
about
man,
that
and then
is
the man,
not only did you interrupt me when you first came into the fucking stream, you were interrupting me. Then you said, "Sorry about that, Tico," but you, Mega Man, like nigga, you can't sit up here and
yeah.
say that and then keep on going, nigga.
and,
No.
and and that's and exactly and like okay, so the love bombing, that's definitely a desperate choosing signal right there. That's something you got to nip in the bud. Like if anybody starts love bombing you, they don't give a crap about you. In fact, they're trying to provoke that dangerous side of you that that if you don't know how to use correctly, you end up like a person that gets gaslit. You end up so
and
angry at yourself for falling
and
for it, and
that's
it's never gonna satisfy you in life, and
and
you
it's gonna
constantly
eat
trying to
away.
please people. Yeah, it's gonna.
Right.
Oh my God, it's gonna eat away. Like I'm still there's still stuff that's eating away at me from when I was, seeking validation. Like just from like months ago, from a year ago, even it's just like that kind of
Right.
stuff. That kind of stuff never goes away. So try not to do that as much. I would just say
Like
you're
minimum.
you're not going to stop every single time it happens, or
But
you're going to be able to stop it.
you're gonna be more
Once
aware.
once in a while.
You know,
Yeah, the more exposed you are, but then yeah, just for
you're gonna be a
sure
little. You're gonna be a little bit more aware. You
the love
know.
bombing is just too desperate, too desperate. If
Hmm.
somebody asks you if you're unsure of a question, ask a clarifying question. Like ask something. And this is both men and women. If something doesn't seem right to you, or for gaslighting, for example, it's like if you ask somebody a question and they give you an answer and it still feels like they haven't answered what you asked them, like ask some clarifying questions and try not to go directly for what you're going for, because obviously they will accuse you of being aggressive
Don't
or
go
they'll
for.
accuse you of
Yeah.
being abusive. Like don't try to go straight for the neck. Like
Right.
if you can exit the conversation, and then like what I was saying, if it feels like they're not giving you the answer that you want, or if they're trying to explain to you when you accuse them of something that it isn't exactly what you see it for, then you know that you're being gaslit, and then you should act accordingly. Like if you have the troll skills, the troll instincts, that's when your troll should kick in. Or if you have the ghost to know the most instincts, that's when your ghost instinct should kick
And
in.
yeah.
Usually,
And
just
and
food
this
for
is.
yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Always
And
good.
this is
No, you're good.
where. And this is where I say autism is a blessing.
No hitter is not trying to go love bomb you in the comment
He's love
section.
bombing me. Yeah, he's
right,
love
Because, like I
bombing me.
said,
right after
and
he
this
said up
That's
here,
perfect timing though, because I'm gonna have to go.
and and this is
yeah,
and
right
this is
after he said up here, Yam is a baby with the lit matches walking through the shadow of
the
the
Valley of
Valley of
Meth.
Meth.
And this is one of the reasons why I'm glad why autism is a blessing, especially as a MIGTOW. You can't tell when they're fucking choosy when they can't when they're choosing when they're doing the whole choosy signal shit, and you can barely tell unless they're practically mallet fucking your head with the goddamn desperate signals. You know, you know
True,
what I mean?
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
And it's like,
because what Win said was really important. It was really like eye opening to me. He was like, if you ask somebody a question that's personal, you should let them know that like you plan on answering it back, and you have or in some way you would plan on this being like an equal exchange. Because in the internet, people feel like people are always trying to get over on them
right,
information. Like you got a lot of nosy ass people who are just like, let me do a little research. It's free. People are able to do it. So it's
right,
just
and
like
it's like it's
that's what
called like
people
that.
feel
I
bad.
said that over the phone. I explained like a tit for tat. I like I said you come in, you're asking a personal question. It says, look, and you're coming from okay. I would give an example. Over here is Wing C. Wing C. I work in Wing C. I know nothing about Wing W. So hey, look, let's see. What do you do in Wing W? That's personal. You can't. But and then you go back and forth with one big argument. Now whole all of Wing C's up in arms and Wing W's up in arms, and the building's all fucked up. So instead of how to handle this, look here. Um, either A, do it like this. Hey, look, I work in Wing C. We do this. I want to understand how our what we do correlates with what you do over here. Or says, look here, this is a question you can answer it or not. I will. I mean, if you could ask me this same question. I'm from Wing C. What do you do in Wing W? You could ask me the same question. and then you exchange knowledge, and you get the
America
bigger
said
picture.
he doesn't understand. I don't know if he was saying that he didn't understand that
I mean, did I
the
say it clearly?
analogy.
Yeah, no.
Well, you
I
said
didn't
it
say it
clearly.
clearly enough.
How about you? I like crazy bitches. How about you? No, but like you're trying to figure out something for whatever reason, right? Because you're interested. You might be
Right.
interested, or you might just be like, I don't know. Some people have said it about Mr. Elite. They're like, oh, he's just naturally he's got that ism, or he's just naturally when he gets in front of women, he just turns into like this magnetic person. And it's like some people believe that that's actually a thing. So in that case, you might just that just might be how you're naturally inclined to like ask people stuff when. But it's all about the signals that you get first, because if you're looking at somebody, you could tell like I should ask this person this question or I shouldn't ask this person this question.
Right.
But that's all in hindsight too. And to back it up further, to go back to before Wendy used the analogy, it's like yeah, like you can't yeah, of course you should plan on sharing at least somewhat uh who you are or what you're about before you start asking somebody, you
It's
know,
about yeah.
personal questions about equal
It's
exchange, you
about
know.
getting equal exchange and getting a bigger picture. You know,
True.
like you're
Because
not
what you're
you're not gonna sit there and tool away at the same machinery, sit staring at the same part going down the line, and not wonder where the rest of it is. You know,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
it's basic human curiosity to want to get the bigger picture, and yeah, that's supposed to be my job being in the wind.
Oh, sorry.
Mm-mm.
But like this whole idea of like what they consider casual flirting, it's like that's kind of whenever you ask a question, you're giving them all this power to then manipulate or change around the narrative to make you look like the bad guy
Mm-mm.
when you should just go straight to exposing them if that's really your intent. You're like you should if you're caught in a narcissist trap, then you should play by the rules until you can get out. But if you're not even caught in it, you should just go straight to the like he should have just gone straight to, you know, the
Like,
real reason why he asked the question, or some some sort of fashion that was not as like giving her as much of power, like, or he should have just started talking to somebody else, like what Cypher was saying in the last live stream. You just try to go over instead of through somebody all the time. So just try to go straight through them. Try to
Mm-mm.
like branch over the topic and hope that they, just volunteer to share what they got to do. Because he was being kind of a detective, right?
like,
During that
look
stream.
here. There's a reason I'm not a detective. I'm a truck driver. You know,
Mhm.
none of us, not, how many of us here are actual detectives meant to get to the bottom of the case?
Me.
Not very many. Okay, you're trained in detective. You're also you're also got practice psychology, but
True.
in that sense, it's like I'm not paid. I'm not a paid psychologist. I'm not a paid detective. I'm not. This my job is not to investigate another person. Now, if somebody has if I think somebody has a missing piece that I think I may need, I will ask, and maybe I have an extra something that they need. It's
Yeah.
about equal trade, especially when you come from certain aspects.
Unless you're gonna steal it. Unless you unless you really
Wait a
feel
minute.
like
How the hell we get all the way to hell over here now? Like we are way off topic.
There's a reason. I'm saying the
No,
trading.
you're taking it too far away. You're
No,
making it
we
more
are taking it
complicated than
too
you
far.
need
I'm
to.
trying to be vague. I'm trying to be vague here.
No, there's no point in being vague because you're going to make it more complicated than it needs
Dude,
to be.
that's
We're
gaslighting.
trying
That's
to keep it.
gaslighting.
Yeah, that's
gaslighting. That's gaslighting. That's gaslighting.
Yeah, there's no need to keep it vague. We're trying to keep it. We're trying to keep it up and up. Basically, it's not. There's
Basically,
no point in making it
okay.
vague because you're making it
Basically,
more
if you want
complicated
a
than it needs to
question,
be.
okay. If you want a
Wait,
question,
Win. Try to
yeah.
phrase it through this, right? Choosing signals, interested signals, or desperate choosing signals.
Shit. Neither one of which, neither one. Well, maybe one of which I basically barely understand.
My thing, okay, so my thing is like when they'll try to curry favor by mentioning like, oh, I'm like you, or not all, but most. Or they'll try to say like,
Or they'll try to say, well, I'm not like that, or they'll try to say some shit like, well, I'm different, or they'll try
I've
to
heard
say
that.
like,
Oh, that shit.
I'm a leader, not a follower, or I do my own thing. Things like that for all of his purposes are all like signs that
That shit.
you're about to be dealing with somebody that's just a hot mess, basically. Or
Oh,
any woman that try to act different just so she could be around you
it's her
or spend time
representative,
with
right?
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're
her
basically meeting a representative, or she's basically what we refer to as being a chameleon.
a chameleon.
okay. Stuff that I never really paid attention to and just basically just walked away.
hmm
Cause I
And
didn't. Cause I
all that stuff is
I didn't
all that
trust you
stuff is
anyway.
like
So
just
fuck.
all that stuff is just makes it more complicated, so you can actually do what you need to do or get to the bottom of things for all intents and
Yeah.
purposes,
Mhm.
or it puts extra steps in what you need to do for all intents and purposes. Like I said, it's kind of like
Which is basically illogical.
when I talk about friends, like
Yeah.
I have like there's a difference between what my best friends are and what these women call friends today for all intents and purposes.
Mhm.
Like a good example of that is my best friends. None of them kiss me. None of them send me nudes. None of them do that shit. However, I got this group of friends over here
Yeah,
that swear
like
up and down we're fucking friends, and I
girl,
got one
yeah,
sending me nudes and shit like that, and I got the other one
or she
fucking,
sent you
I
like
got the other one
workout
kissing up
pictures,
on me and shit like that.
like pictures of her after her workout, like, oh, this is what friends do. It's like, hey,
That's
you're
not
all
what friends
sweaty,
do.
Well, I
like,
mean, I don't even mind the workout pictures. It's more
mm.
so the fact that when a bitch don't got no fucking clothes on, now we're not friends anymore. Now you're
or
pushing a fucking envelope, and we don't need to be like that. Or if a
another way
woman's
to do it,
kissing me,
yeah.
or another good example, if a woman's kissing me on the fucking lips, there's a problem now. We are
Right.
not fucking friends, and need to sort this shit the fuck out now. Because now
Right.
bitches is getting crazy.
I think the Joker said it's like if you love something, never do it for free. And it's like when it comes to your friends, if you just hang around them like all the goddamn time, or if you're just trying to like you're just like just hanging around them. Like there's a point about boundaries that a lot of people make where it's like if you value friendship, you wouldn't like for me, like if I value singing in the group, after the rehearsal's done, I'm going straight home. I'm not sticking around being like, God, don't you guys just love singing in this group? Because after a while, it's gonna get old, and it's gonna start morphing into how other people view it. There's no more self validation. It's all based on the fact that you're there with your group of friends and you guys hang out before, during, and after. And then at that point, the what you guys are doing doesn't even become important anymore. It's all just like groupthink based on
Shinobi one in the house.
perception of
Awesome.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things where it's like you got people like, and the sad part about that, that's another sign of gaslighting when you got a friend that'll say, "Oh, we're just friends," and they're sitting here kiss you on the lips and shit like that. Like, wait a minute. That is not what friends do. Or they'll say we're friends, but they're sending you nudes or showing you nudes of themselves. But they're friends though. But they're showing you nudes of themselves, but they're friends. Like, come on now, you're not no fucking friend. You're crossing a fucking line. Like, get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit. And it's pretty much how it works.
I'm gonna need you to get yourself back in your fucking lane and get, because you're fucking in oncoming traffic.
and they stay there.
Oh
It's
my
not
goodness!
London,
But
it's America.
yeah, and it's kind of odd and wild when you watch this shit happen. And it's like one of those things where it's like, well, what are we really? And the sad part about that, you live in a society where people don't want titles, but they want to be angry or jealous when you got other shit going on with you, basically, or they want to act like they don't care when they really do care. It's like, really, dude.
Hey,
Yep. They just act like they don't care, or they're like,
it
no,
just,
I don't want to have to say goodbye.
well,
And you just,
goodbye.
oh, bye. Then they're like,
Bye, Felicia.
For
I'm
real.
gonna
I had to throw
pretend
that
like you
stuff.
don't exist. Stalks you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
the fucking, the desperate signals. Oh boy. I kind of got those understood.
You
Kind
know
of.
what it
Not,
is,
not.
Wind? It's like when you watch that video, of the guy working in Target, and all the girls come up, and they're like, "Hey," like
Oh, that
that's the
annoying shit.
desperate. That's the
That's
desperate.
annoying as fuck.
That's
That's
the
an
desperate shit.
annoying ass tone.
When somebody's desperately trying to get your attention verbally or when they're doing it, when they're making a lot of noise to do it, or when they're verbally doing it, they're basically being desperate.
That is annoying as fuck.
I got one person. They will like, they will lift up. They will like push. They will push the cart to make it squeak, just so that somebody here, or they tap their nails on the desk all super loud, or they will chew the bubble gum really loud. It's
Yeah,
always
that's
something
fucking
that
stupid.
causes a little extra noise. It's always something that causes a little bit extra.
Look,
Like,
just come up to me, tell me what the fuck you want, tell me what the fuck you need,
Get the fuck
and
out of my face.
get the fuck out of my face. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no need to make a fucking scene, to draw attention to your damn selves, and annoy the fuck out of me. I mean, now you won't get cussed out. I'll just look at you. I'll just look at you with a blank expression. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because pretty much of what my thought process. Why the fuck are you making all this fucking noise for no damn reason? So that's pretty much the desperation signal. Okay, got it. I just ignore. I usually ignore them, or just basically look at them like they didn't grow. They skipped straight to second head and went straight to the third head. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so desperate signals. Okay, they're to be as obnoxious as humanly possible. Got it. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, not really.
And Choosey signal. Oh hell, fuck Choosey, or is it
Choosy
fucking?
is the signals that they send you very subtle, where they
Oh,
do the
very.
glance, where they glance at you just a little bit, or they'll look your way, or they'll smile, they'll look at you and smile, look the other way, basically, or they basically want you to approach them.
Yeah, not gonna happen because when I see, I typically don't smile. When I see somebody smiling at me, I'm usually looking behind me, and then I go back to what the fuck I was doing in the first damn place. And the whole fucking turning, look at me thing, that doesn't really work either because okay, I just usually nod my head and just go back to what. Basically, the end result is me going back to what the fuck I was doing in the first damn place.
but
And
you're
so,
looking at them to begin with, though. So there's your first initiation.
Yeah.
You initiate the.
my shit. Well, they're gonna be disappointed. I don't, because I'll just go back to fuck what I was doing. Like, come up, get your ass out the chair, walk over, and say, I'm interested. I don't
That
want to touch.
there
Well,
that
first off,
there
that's
right
not going to
there.
happen. You asking
Okay,
for way
well,
too damn much, when you asking for way too damn much, and you're
good
making this
point.
more complicated than it needs to be.
Okay,
That's
okay.
basically the desperate signals. That's not what
Oh,
choosy signals are. Those are
well,
desperate signals.
oh,
And the
that's
sad part about that, the chance of a woman being desperate is slim to none.
good point. They have options.
Because she got options.
You got
Unless she
options.
Because
recognizes that
a
there's an
woman would
option
take
out
the
there.
a woman would take the path of less resistance or less work, basically, at that point.
Well,
So
you
you
better.
know,
Yeah. They better find. Yeah, they better find another current, another a switch box. because this one ain't working. Now we're on. We did the desperate signals. We did the choosy signals, and we did
Those
the
are
fucking.
interested signals.
The,
When once he talked, he was like, one of the only girls I ever liked is a girl that I could actually have a decent conversation with. She knew a lot of things to talk about, or she had a lot of things to talk about with me. And to me, the interested signals, I guess, is just like if I don't even really know because part of me thinks that when you get gaslit and stuff like that's because
All right, here
gaslighting
it
is
goes.
obviously
Because y'all about to make
spread.
this, y'all both about to make this more complicated than it needs to be. Basically, interested signals is nothing more than signals that are very, very low key or very, very subtle to the point where you could damn near miss it. Like various questions will be asked, and you would think it's an innocent question, but if you think back and think about it, it's like, okay, why did she ask that question? This will say shit like, she'll say shit like, I just wanted to know, or I was just checking, or I wasn't sure, and I just wanted to make sure. So basically, what she's doing is basically trying to get a feel for you, or trying to plant the seeds that she's interested in you, that not really actually saying she's interested in you. So basically, she's actually letting you know by asking random questions or saying things to you that you normally wouldn't be said to you. If you, and the sad part about that, if you don't think about it, you would actually miss it. But the minute you start thinking about it, you go, wait a minute.
Wait,
So it's one
so
of those things. That's interested signals.
when I try to do that with a girl, does she know right away what I'm trying to do?
Well, it depends on the girl. Not all girls know that, and it depends
Okay.
on how you do it, or it depends
I,
on what she's used to. It depends on what she's used to getting from men.
Because
Like
what if
typically,
she's hit on all
typically,
the
no,
time?
typically, women would do this to men basically, just so they can get to know men or like get shit out of men, so they can figure out what they like, what they don't like, so they can find the end on the man basically. So,
I guess.
it's damn near like playing chameleon, but it's not really playing a chameleon. It's basically like trying to probe for information while trying to while trying to be interested while while acting like you're not interested at the same damn time.
I got something to say about all that. All of this sounds. All of these fucking signals and shit sounds stupid as all
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah, but that's besides the point. When I knew you were going to say that, that's besides the point. The fact of the matter is that these signals happen and they get used on a regular basis. So it's one of
Oh,
those things where you have to recognize which one's which. Because the sad part about that, the choosing signals are noticeable. Yeah, the desperate signals are highly noticeable. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can miss the choosy signals, but if she keeps on throwing out choosy signals after choosy signal after choosy signal, it'll be noticeable. If she's throwing out desperate signals, those things are blatant as fuck. If she's throwing out like interested signals, that means she's interested, but she doesn't want to come off as needy or desperate
Or desperate?
or or any of that stuff basically. So she's basically trying to probe. She's basically trying to probe you basically without looking like she's actually interested in you or looking like she's thirsty or desperate for all intents and purposes. This is what the interested signals basically are. They're basically low key signals that any man would miss on a regular basis. And if you actually think about the context of what she's asking or said, you realize very quickly that she's interested in you, but she's trying not to be hurt at the same damn time. And she doesn't want to get her feces hurt. So typically, a lot of women are very interested in men, but the sad part about that is they don't want to get their feelings hurt. So therefore, they're willing to backpedal or backtrack on a lot of the shit that they say for various reasons, just so they can save face and not be hurt, basically, or not have to go all the way in and not be hurt. So it's one of those things. So this is typically how it works. Like a good example is I have a friend right now who who sends me messages and asks me various questions that are very suspect on that wouldn't even be considered suspect if you're best friends with somebody or you're friends with somebody. But like after a while, the questions start being very suspect. And the sad part about that, you as a guy, you may not notice them right away, but if you start putting two and two together or three and four together, basically, you find out very quickly that that person's interested in you, very, very low key interested in you. So it's one of those things where the person is low key interested in you. It's not blatant, and it's not like choosy, and it's not desperate. So they're interested in you low key. So they ask you various things so they can basically find an end to be with you or get you to actually basically say, Okay, we're doing this now. So it's one of those things, and it's like, look, if you're not really, and the sad part about that is everybody always misses these signals for this reason, and nobody ever catches them, and they always wonder why, what it meant, or anything. And the sad part about that is all you got to do is just go back and think about your conversation with that person, and analyze that conversation in your head. Then you realize very quickly, based on the key components of that conversation, that person might be interested in you, but the sad part about that, you have to actually find the actual things that are anomalies. If you're best friends and she's saying certain things or she's doing certain things that is like above and beyond friendship and it's portioned into like, intimacy territory, she's probably interested in you. If she's just
Okay.
saying random shit just to say random shit, then it's just probably her character. But if it's a woman and
Oh.
if she's showing interest in you by asking various questions that are showing you various things that would only be shown to you by your significant other or somebody that's interested in dating you, she's very interested. But the sad part about that, she'll wrap it in a guise or a pretty bow, like she was just trying to figure out, or she was just curious, or she was just wondering.
Oh, okay. So it's not me. It's a lot of other motherfuckers. Got it.
Yeah, I mean it's that to me that's what frustrates me because I'm always just like, well, when I analyze it back in my head, it's like, yeah, she's interested in me, or yeah, obviously
Oh,
we
like
talk,
here's,
but then
here's a good example of that. Here's a good example of that right here. I, um, I was talking about an older woman, and I was talking how attractive she was, basically. Okay, cool. She goes, "You like older women?" I go, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "No, no. I was just pointing it out."
The fuck?
there's no
How are you
why.
pointing it out? Like, how are you pointing that out? Like, we've had this conversation
Why?
before.
There's no why.
Oh boy. Wow. Okay.
She's like, MILF or do not. There is no why.
Wow. Okay, Yam.
That's what she was basically trying to say. She's like, I want you. But yeah, that's what's crazy to me. Like when I start, like the choosing signals, to me in my head were just like every woman sends choosing signals because they're all desperate. But then I realize when they say like MGTOW is just a bunch of uh like they're always going for, or they think that every woman is attracted to us. No, it's not every woman. It's just all the desperate women throw desperate choosing signals at us, and we're aware of it enough to see, or not even that. All the women who are interested, we play the stuff back in our head, and we're like, oh, she was asking, are you saving up for a car, or are you saving up to buy a house, or are you, or like, what are you doing with all your free time, or how can you live like this, or can I come fold your clothes or something, like, or she'll just like they'll say crazy shit like that they'll never say to like a guy, like never say to like some blue pill dude. And it's not that we think everybody likes us, it's just I mean, I think everybody likes me. No, I'm just kidding. But like every you got to have some level of like
Yeah,
confidence
it's
in that
ridiculous because
relationship.
like I'm reading this text messages from this one guy in a fun server, and it goes something like this. The girl literally asks, "Well, so when's your date?" The guy says Friday, and then another one on Saturday. She goes, then he goes, "She's about 45. She's a model. She has a child, basically." Okay, cool. So she goes, "You like older women?" Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay, first off, bitch, that's way too many question marks. You way too interested now.
Yeah, it's like when she says hi and it's like 8 eyes.
Yeah, no, like, it's like he goes, yeah, why? So she goes, I'm just pointing it out. Wait, what? Just pointing what out? Pointing out what? The fact that you, and the sad part about that, the guy's so cool. He goes, we've had this conversation before. I told you, I'm interested in older women. Okay, cool. So, she goes, oh, I remember you telling me that. Oh, now you remember you telling me that. But before you were pointing out the shit. Bitch, you confusing. Get you confusing.
Butter's lost in the sauce because you didn't pay the cost.
Yeah. Well, and it's I think it's backed up
Suspect
a lot.
question, Tico. What you? What? No. No.
Yeah, TKO. Yeah.
Nigga, I'm gonna need you to say pause, nigga. I'm gonna need you to say pause.
America's the bell. America's the
Tico, take me
bell.
to Disneyland. Okay, you're getting out of hand now. Tico, buy me a Land Rover. How about no? This guy.
That's a woman's
Shit.
subtle choosing signals right there. It's Tico
Hey,
buy me a Land Rover.
Win,
That's not subtle.
take me to
That's
Disney.
desperate. That's desperity.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll ask you in a
Win,
heartbeat.
take me to Disneyland.
If I'm taking you to Disneyland, or if I'm buying you a Land Rover, what's in it for me?
She's gonna land on your rover. Hey, Red Rover. Send
This
Tico
guy.
over.
Red Rover, call Tico over.
Send cartel drug money over. Wait, what? Wait, what?
What?
What? Who said that? I didn't say that.
I don't know who
I
you're
did
talking
not.
about.
We at the Baron Yam channel do not believe that there's any money going across the border or over Red Rover.
By
Could
Land
be
Rover.
close. Overvaluing the peace leave? Well, I don't even know, man, because I don't even see like okay. One time I did see this one girl who I thought like, all right, nobody wants to bang that. She came in with like this this like gangster Hispanic dude, and like he's look all hard and stuff, and I was like, dang. And then like I don't even know what came of that, but it's like I don't even I think maybe they are able to use the peace lead power, like just not on guys that they want, or I don't know. I don't really know what it's like. I'm not big on dating, so I'm not gonna know what it's like.
Yeah,
But from
women suck at getting the men that they actually want. That's the sad part.
mhm.
Yeah, they do. Well, on that note, we've been on it at this for we've been scratching and beating at this for 2 hours, and
No, I'm
Tico's been basically
yeah.
fucking torching this every fucking subject while we just
Whatever.
wandering around in the fucking dark. Marco Polo, Marco Polo,
This guy.
pretty
And then
much.
Tico's the chlorine
I,
just
I would
killing
like to
all the
thank the guy who gave me the
biomaterial.
thumbs down. By the way, I would like to thank that person. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for participating to my algorithm and pushing this lovely stream into the lovely YouTube algorithm. Thank you very much, Captain. But
Couldn't
yeah,
have
it's
done
funny
without you.
Thank you.
for
Thank you
real.
so much. Thank you. I love to
Do you
do
want to
my
continue or y'all want
outro.
to call it?
Yeah, let's call
I'll
it
do my
this.
outro now. Everybody like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, Shinobi One. Everybody for watching. Thank you, everybody. America's the Bill. And thank you for everyone that showed up at the Red Bleeding Edge, too. You guys are A1. And subscribe to Tico
Kendall Rick
Trend.
is not doing stream tonight? Holy crap.
All right. So
And
Interesting.
shout out to the boy Hammer, who's freed from the other people's expectations. Shout out to him. He's a free man now. And if you got to grind, shout out to you when working, get your paper. Just avoid those female slips, trips, and falls. Just please, love of
And
God.
entanglements. Avoid those
And
entanglements.
entanglements. Oh yeah, quantum entanglements. Avoid
Yeah.
those. They're
Quantum
there.
entanglement. What the
No,
hell?
that
Quantum
was seafood.
entanglements?
That was seafood. That was seafood. He
I'm
said
about to say quantum
that's funny
entanglements.
because we were talking about like gaslight and stuff. It's like entanglements are there and then they're not there magically. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. Do your research, guys. Physics. Nobody
No, so
wants to take the Newtonian physics pill. No one wants to take the physics pill.
I'm a motherfucking quasar.
Oh yes you are. Yes you are, Win. Do your outro.
This is MIGTOW on the win. I'd like to thank the I'd like to thank the silly fuck chuckle fuck the thumbs down the video for putting it on the algorithm. Thank you very much. We couldn't have done it without you. I mean, come on, yeah, come on. You did a wonderful job. But come back, like, share, and come back, dislike, share, and subscribe. And if you want to thumbs down more live streams like this, your golden fuck chuckle. Hey, go ahead, hit the bell icon. And but please, by all means, find the courage to leave a comment in the comment section so that we know exactly how you feel deep down inside within your
Yeah.
loins and within the
The
bottom of
thumbs,
your
the
heart.
thumb doesn't even mean a line. Plus, you could always change that later when you're a little bit more clear of mind. So make sure you actually leave a hateful comment so we know exactly how you feel right now.
And from the bottom of my heart, like I said, I appreciate you. I do
I
I
appreciate
do
you.
care about your feelings. This is Big Down the Wind signing off. Go ahead,
That
Tico.
was a good outro, Win.
This is Tico Trend. This is Tico Trend, aka the Internal Sadist. Um, I actually enjoyed doing the stream, and it was one of the funner streams to do. Definitely, um, it's pretty okay, despite the fact that we were going off in a rabbit hole several different times, but it ended up being a pretty good stream.
Like
It wasn't bad. It didn't
cat.
get too. It wouldn't get too bad. It didn't get too bad.
No,
It
it
could have been a
didn't.
lot worse. It could have been a
Yeah,
lot
it could
worse.
have been. It definitely could have been a lot worse. But like, it ended up being a great stream. I appreciate the people I'd stream with. Um, Everybody from a Manly Load to Billy the Goat to Cypher's Basement to Black Pill Radio whenever he gets a hold of me again to Yam to MIGTOW the Win. Who else? Who else?
Hey,
Who else? Who
Tico,
else?
it's not a retirement outro. You're not done. You're not done. This is not over.
Hey, you never know. You never know. You never know. I'm just letting people know how I feel.
I know, but you letting us know a little bit too much. Like we actually got to expect some shit to happen for you to disappear.
Hey, you never know. You never know with my
It's like
black ass.
you're here. It's like I'm hearing like cuffs click in the background. Like,
Right?
hey, you guys just be good.
And
Don't do anything I would do. All right, just stay with me, guys. All right, guys.
I don't know what I did. I don't know what you did. Whatever you did, I'm probably next.
Probably next. I know that's
Yeah.
true.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I just appreciate everybody I do streams with on a regular basis, and I appreciate Hitting also as well. He's my homeboy, even though we get into arguments, he's still my homeboy, and I will rap for him no matter what. So I appreciate everybody I do streams with. I appreciate everybody. I love everybody the same. I don't love anybody any more than the other person. I just love everybody the same. Just be good and like treat yourselves like milk and never spoil yourself. Just chill. Always be willing to learn stuff and keep an open mind. And don't even let people bother you. Don't even let people get to you. Just live your life for you. If it don't affect your pay, don't even let it affect your day. Like real shit. But yeah, just be good, love yourselves, and always take care of yourselves. That's about it.
That's it.
Yeah, him somewhere around his hair with his goofy ass self.
Yeah, I was thinking about sending them the link.
But yeah, everybody's good, and I appreciate everybody, and everybody do good. But yeah, that was it. That was it for Wendy, Baron, and Sadist, basically. And if you're watching this on Twitch, it's Wendy Baron and Trent. Because apparently Sadist is a bad word on
Fuck around
Twitch.
to get windy banned. You're gonna fuck around and get windy banned.
But y'all be good and be blessed. Adios.
And don't piss off a tornado.
Adios, my niggas. Oh wait, I gotta play the outros that y'all like. Hang on. Y'all favorite outros. The Indian woman
This video
first.
is for mature audiences. If you're watching this and you're underage, fuck you, fuck your face and fuck your day. This video is for mature audiences. If you're watching this and you're underage, fuck you, fuck your parent and fuck your day. This video is for mature audiences. If you're watching this and you're underage, You have shitty parents or parent and should be shit slapped. This video is for mature audiences. If you're watching this and you're underage, you have shitty parents or parent and they should be sterilized.
Sterilized. Do.
Du damit om ik compleet is een slechtje, cause I mean I'm not taking mama and no intake.
All right, y'all. Have a good one. Be blessed. And y'all have a good one.
Goodbye, motherfucker.
Bye,
Oh, wait.
motherfuckers.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hello, motherfucker.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
Pussy.
All right, and 24 hours done.
Right? Everybody get some sleep and be good. Adios.
Good for.
Motherfuckers. And Tico, how do you feel about Get the Bag Girls?
We're trying to leave. You talk about how do you feel about? We'll talk about that on the next variant. We'll talk about that on the next variant. Say this. This motherfucker at the end.
It was like a cool, like, I was like a backstage topic. Like, how do you feel about
We're not
Get the Bag
backstage
Girls?
yet.
We're not back yet. We're still on air.